I've made YouTube shorts about Mario Kart Wii for the past 3 years now, and the biggest question / complaint I get about the competitive side of the game is why are only these two vehicles allowed, being the Flame Runner and the Mach Bike. If you were to use any of the other 28 vehicles in the game, you would receive a punishment banning you from playing temporarily because you didn't follow the rules. These MKWii Discord mods do not play around. So why is every other vehicle besides these two banned? In other competitive games, characters or strategies usually get banned because they are too good. To keep things Nintendo adjacent, let's look at Smash Bros. Melee. The strategy of wobbling with the Ice Climbers was banned because it was an instant kill option that was way too overpowered and unfun to play around. Then later in Smash 4 and in Ultimate, Bayonetta and Steve had discussions of bans as well for similar reasons. They are simply so much better than the rest of the cast and have certain unfair guaranteed advantages. So some tournaments experimented with banning those characters to test if it led to a better gaming experience. Bans in these games come from things being unfairly strong. But in Mario Kart Wii, these 28 vehicles are banned for the opposite reason. They are trash. Dookie juice. They are worse than the Jacksonville Jaguars when we had Blaine Gabbert as our quarterback, bro. Like, we were so good. To put things as simply as possible, every vehicle is basically just a worse version of the Flame Runner or Mach Bike. To understand why this is, you have to understand how the stats work in this game. In Mario Kart Wii, there are only a few stats that matter, being speed, weight, and drift. Acceleration, off-road, mini-turbo, and handling are mostly irrelevant. Acceleration determines how fast your vehicle can get back up to speed after hitting an item or a wall. But in this game, if you simply hold A and B at the same time while you're in place, you will charge a mini turbo which gets you back up to top speed. And oftentimes this is faster than normally accelerating even if your vehicle has a good acceleration stat. So being able to stand still mini turbo like this completely offsets a bad acceleration stat. Off-road is probably the most irrelevant stat. It allows you to drive faster in the off-road, which is somewhere you never want to be. There's no point of having a good off-road stat. If you are in the off-road, you are losing time. You do not want to be here. Mini turbo is okay. On every turn you can drift and charge a mini turbo, which gives you a temporary speed boost. Having a high mini turbo makes this boost last longer, which is nice, but still not that important. The reason that mini turbos are even useful at all is because they get you back up to your top wheelie speed instantly. Wheeling with a bike makes you drive faster than normal, but accelerating up to the top wheelie speed from the top default speed is slow. But with a mini turbo boost, no matter how small, if you wheelie, you will be brought back up to the top wheelie speed. It doesn't matter if that mini turbo boost lasts a tenth of a second or a full second, you will get the wheelie speed advantage, which is what's really important. And the last irrelevant stat is handling, which allows you to turn sharper while using the normal controls. And this would be useful, but you should be taking every single turn in the game with a drift. Drifting most of the time allows you to turn sharper, and of course it allows you to charge that important mini turbo. Now for the actual stats that matter, let's continue with drifting. A high drift stat allows you to take turns much sharper. This is crucial for the tight turns in the games, as vehicles with a not high enough drift stat are unable to take these turns without awkwardly maneuvering and losing a lot of time. Good drift means you can move side to side quicker, and oftentimes this helps you avoid getting hit. Next is speed, and it's fairly obvious why this is important. High speed makes you go fast, and at the end of the day, this is a racing game, so having the highest speed possible without sacrificing the other important stats is what's going to be optimal. And finally is weight. In Mario Kart Wii, if you drive into another racer, you get shoved pretty hard. And if you are lightweight while all the other races are heavy, you can get sent flying. It is important that you are big-bodied so you don't get brutally mogged by the heavy vehicles and bumped into items, walls, and off the track. So good vehicles in this game have good weight, speed, and drift, which leaves us with these vehicles, which is quite a bit more than just two. But there's one other factor that puts the Flame Runner and Mach Bike above the rest. They are inside drifting bikes. Bikes can wheelie in this game, which makes them go faster than normal. On the other hand, karts cannot wheelie, and instead they get to charge their mini turbo to a second tier, giving them a longer boost. This is not at all an even trade-off, as you spend much more time in a race benefiting from driving fast on a straightaway while wheeling, and oftentimes turns are not even big enough to charge this super mini turbo. And now for the big one, inside drift versus outside drift. Certain bikes can do what's called an inside drift, where they cut inwards immediately. Every other bike and all the karts in the game have outside drift, which is more akin to drift in every other Mario Kart game, where your vehicle kind of swings out to the side at first. Inside drift is superior. It allows you to cut into corners faster and gives you way more control of your vehicle, allowing you to maneuver around obstacles more easily. Starting an outside drift swings you out in the opposite direction briefly before cutting in, while inside drift immediately lets you cut left or right. Also, there's some advanced techniques you can do with an inside drifting bike to optimize it even further. So when accounting for the drift type and the stats, we are left with just the Flame Runner and the Mach Bike. And now here's the part where people get confused. They see all these different stats, the different drift type, the different mini turbo, and they think, well, surely the other vehicles have their advantages. There's got to be some unique features about them that allow them to play differently than the Flame Runner or Mach Bike. And to keep things in fighting game terms or Smash terms, they see the Flame Runner as the best vehicle. So in Melee, that would be the best character, Fox. And then let's take the Dolphin Dasher. It's a fairly mid vehicle in this game, and they might see that as Peach, who is clearly not as good as Fox. Fox has certain moves and properties that make him the best, like his Shine and Up Smash. Peach doesn't have these moves, but she has a completely different toolkit and advantages of her own. Her float and parasol can be used for longer recoveries, and her turnip is an amazing projectile. She has a completely different moveset. And while overall it might not be as good as Fox's, she has her own advantages that vary from matchup to matchup, and has good enough strengths to beat the best characters. But in Mario Kart Wii, all of these vehicles, they do not have different movesets, they do not have different kits, they do not have different advantages. Because as I said earlier, only a few stats matter. So even though they have different stats, and the Dolphin Dasher has okay speed and drift, and it has good off-road, that good off-road stat doesn't help it in any way. It's still slower, lighter, and has worse drift. It's just a worse version of the Flame Runner and Mach Bike. And then if you compare all the karts in the game, they have the biggest difference in their Super Mini Turbo. But as I said before, this different mechanic is not helpful for them. There is no track where you can just optimally chain these Super Mini Turbos. It doesn't exist. The two meta bikes will always have an advantage. Karts are basically just worse bikes that can't wheelie. There's nothing that the other 28 vehicles can do that the Flame Runner and Mach Bike don't do better, period.
But Rerim, wait, what about the Magic Cruiser? It has high off-road, making it faster on Sherbet Land.
And yeah, that's true. Okay, the Magic Cruiser is the best vehicle on Sherbet Land. But that's one track out of 32. And in a competitive Mario Kart Wii event, you play 12 different tracks. So the Magic Cruiser has a slight advantage on one track that you're not even guaranteed to play. And then it's just worse everywhere else. Not worth it. There's no kart specific shortcuts or outside drifting bike shortcuts that can be pulled off specific to them. In time trials, you can get some wacky one-off things, which look cool, and that's awesome for time trials. But in online competition, no. So now that we've established why the Flame Runner and Mach Bike are so good, you still might be thinking, okay, sure, these other vehicles are worse, but why does that even matter? Why can't someone just use a worse vehicle? Like, who cares? Well, now I have to explain how these competitive Mario Kart Wii events are actually ran. See, there's a Discord server called Mogi Lounge, and in this server, you have your ELO rank that goes up and down if you win or lose events. Events are played around every hour, and to play one, you sign up into a queue. Once the queue fills with enough players, rooms of 12 are created. The 12 players in the room vote on a format being either a free-for-all, 6 teams of 2, 4 teams of 3, or 3 teams of 4. If a team event is played, your partners are randomly assigned to you. Once the format is decided, you play 12 races, and the total points after these races determines your ending position, where you will either lose or gain elo. Hopefully, you can see the glaring issue now with using a worse vehicle. Team events. It would suck to be paired up with a teammate who's playing with a handicap. You want to try hard and win, but your teammate is on the cheap charger, getting bumped off every race and scores 10 points overall. It's just not fair and not competitive. But what about in free-for-alls where you have no partner? Well, this is where things could get subjective. But basically the line of thinking is something like this. These events are supposed to be played out like everyone is trying to win. Smurfing down to a lower rank to play against worse people is seen as uncompetitive. And that's kinda it. The rule makers just don't like when people intentionally lose, because if you were to throw mid-event, even if you're not on an unviable vehicle, this oftentimes leads to very strange circumstances. Like, because you intentionally lost, by proxy that affected someone else's race. And if you were trying like normal, that scenario would have never happened. For example, let's say you rage quit mid-race and you're literally just not moving, you're sitting in last place. Well, 12th place has the highest chance of pulling the shock. Because you're not moving, there is now a very good chance that the shock is never pulled or used. Someone else who's playing has a star in 9th place, and if they were to correctly predict when the shock was used and dodge, they would win. But now, by you throwing, that theoretical win condition is gone for him. It's a lot of hypotheticals and what-ifs, but there is truth to it. Playing not to win will have you make unoptimal plays that negatively affect the integrity of the race. And using unviable vehicles is just an extension of that. You could make a case that free-for-alls should allow you to use any vehicle, And for a while, certain karts and the bullet bike were allowed because they are the next best vehicles. But eventually this was overturned because, again, if you're really trying to win, you wouldn't be intentionally handicapping yourself. And by the way, if you are caught using a banned vehicle, you get a temporary ban from the server. It starts with a week, and then if you do it again, it's a month, and then if you do it a third time, it's a 6-month-long ban. All for using funny vehicles. Yeah, they treat this Mario Kart stuff seriously. At least you're still able to use any medium or heavyweight character. In case you were wondering, each character also has their own unique stat buffs, and Daisy and Funky Kong get the best stat distribution for their weight classes. But these are very small buffs, so any character is still allowed. You can leave all the hate comments you want, making fun of people for tryharding Mario Kart Wii, but the reality is that the point of this Mogi Lounge server is for people who want to sweat in Mario Kart. It's for the people who treat Mario Kart Wii like it's their job, okay? If you go to these people's Twitter feed, you will see them post about how depressed they are and how they don't have a job, but then if you check their lounge page, you will also see that they've been clocking 10-hour shifts on Wii 5 for the past 3 months every day. If you want to play Mario Kart Wii and you want to use your favorite Wario bike, you are perfectly allowed to do that in a worldwide. And with how popular Retro Rewind is getting, you can definitely experiment with other vehicles in a decently competitive environment online, all to your heart's content. Go all out with your unconventional picks. Seriously, if you want to enjoy a more casual but still very active experience in Mario Kart Wii, I would highly suggest researching this mod pack. But that's pretty much it for me. TLDR, all other vehicles are trash, and Mario Kart Wii players want to play in sweat lobbies only.